Hi guys, I just played a really cool game that I thought would be really useful also to show it here. Now you can see that there is some tension here in the center, and in a couple of moves, or maybe just immediately, black is probably going to get the hanging pawns after we take here on c5 and he recaptures. He's gonna have these two hanging pawns here. Because black probably doesn't want to release the tension and take here on d4, because then I can just take on d4 and he would be left with this isolated pawn, um, which is of course playable, but I think that white has a pleasant advantage. It's not that bad for black, but I think white has some advantage. So we're probably gonna get hanging pawns here, and I just took immediately. And again, okay, if he takes it with a bishop, okay, I mean, it's possible, but it's probably just not the best because I can just play knight c3 and just play against this isolated pawn. But he took it with the pawn, and now we get our hanging pawns here. So I've already made one video about hanging pawns in the past, but I just want to quickly tell you what are the plans when playing against the hanging pawns. So basically want to put a lot of pressure on these two pawns, because they have no other pawns to protect them, so they're pretty weak, and you a lot of times also want them to move forward, because if any of these guys moves forward, let's say this guy moves here, then you get some useful squares here for your pieces, and you're also going to target this pawn easier because it's going to be, you know, a backwards pawn. And yeah, like I said, you get quite some squares for your pieces. Also, you can play e3 in the future and just try to break his pawn structure here, so that when he takes and you recapture with a piece, he's going to be left with this isolated pawn here. So moving these pawns is usually not a great idea unless you have some sort of attack or initiative. Of course, if you're playing with the hanging pawns. So yeah, another thing you might want to do as white, or just prepare, is either to push b4 or e4. Now the point of trying these two moves against hanging pawns is that, like we said, you want these pawns to move, so you provoke them. And if he doesn't move, you're gonna take, and after he recaptures, again, this pawn is going to be a weakness. So yeah, the point is just to provoke these pawns and then attack them, or just first attack them and make them vulnerable, make them move, and yeah, just play against these weak pawns. So okay, what did I play here? I played knight c3. Computer doesn't really like it, but um, yeah, it's because d4. I wasn't considering d4 because I thought that, okay, if he starts moving these pawns, then this is good for me, like we said. But the point is that, okay, he gets enough play after, let's say, knight a4, knight d7, b4. The point is that we want to get this pawn away from defending this pawn, so then after he takes, we can take this pawn. Yeah, we get into a position like this. It's unclear, it's probably around equal. But yeah, computer basically wants to play e3 instead of knight c3, just to prevent d4 immediately. But okay, I played knight c3 and he didn't see d4. He played knight to c6. And now what did we say? We want to target these pawns, and of course our rooks belong to these half open files from where they're going to be pressuring these two pawns. So I just play rook c1, and my next move is actually going to be knight a4 probably. Just straight up attacking this pawn with two pieces, and it's going to be pretty hard for him to defend it. You know, let's just imagine that I play knight a4 here. He can't protect this pawn with knight d7 because this guy falls. Um, he can't protect it with the queen because this square is protected. Also after knight a4 he can go here because okay, I think we can take here and then just take this pawn. Something like this would be possible. So you can see that the side with the hanging pawns can quickly run in some trouble if they're not careful. So here he played rook c8 and I played knight a4. attacking this pawn. And now what he did is he played knight e4. He's defending this pawn, and he has his knight on seemingly active central square. But I immediately wanted to get rid of this knight. Now, one more rule when playing against the hanging pawns is you usually want to exchange pieces, because the less pieces are there on the board, the less initiative will the side with the hanging pawns have, less attack, and these pawns are slowly going to become weak in, let's say, an end game or a late middle game, or just in a middle game. But okay, so that's why I played knight d2. I wanted to fight against this knight, get rid of it, and then I also wanted to open my bishop to attack this pawn, my queen also. So it is a very good move, I think. He of course can't play something like bishop to g5 to pin us, because we can just play f4, and then we're attacking the knight, we're attacking the bishop. If he takes, we take, he has to move, and then we just win this pawn. So this doesn't work, of course. So he just took here on d2, and I recaptured with the queen. Again, this doesn't work because of f4, and we're attacking this, and it's over. So that's why he has to protect this pawn, because remember, we're still attacking this pawn. We're putting a lot of pressure on these pawns. We're also attacking this pawn with the queen and the bishop. As you can see, we're exerting really just maximum pressure on these pawns. So he has to defend it. He has to move the knight. He moved the knight to b4. But what would you play here, guys? Please pause the video and think about it. Okay, so the move that I found is knight takes c5. So the point is that if he takes it with the bishop, then I wanted to take the bishop, and when he takes here, I have this battery. I have this beautiful battery, and I'm also attacking the rook. So he has to defend against mate somehow, and then we take the rook. And okay, we're also attacking the knight. You can see that he has this weakness here. We have two bishops. This is just over. If he goes here, we can go rook a1. I think we just trap the knight. So this is really just crushing, a really beautiful tactic. But he played rook takes c5, and now the correct move is just queen d4. Again, double attacking this rook. He doesn't have time to capture here because he's gonna get mated. So he has to defend against this threat. And the point is that, okay, he can defend like this, but we take the rook, he takes the bishop, we take the knight, we can see that we're still attacking this bishop, and to take it, he moves somewhere, and then okay. I mean, we're just 2 pawns up and just completely winning. So this is just the correct combination for me, queen d4 immediately, which I saw immediately after I played rook takes c5, which computer says it's a blunder, but it's still winning for white. The point is that, okay, he has to take the rook, and now again, same trick, but not on d4. We attack the bishop from c3, and we're threatening the mate. So yeah, okay, now he has to stop mate. I was thinking about queen to f6, because after we take, he can take this guy here, but I think that it's still really good for us. We're attacking this bishop. This pawn is really weak. It's true that this queen is a bit active here, but we should be winning this still. But okay, he played f6, and now okay, we just took the bishop. We're attacking the knight again. If he takes here, we can just trap this knight. That's just over. And if he goes back, let's say here, okay, we can just take here, just over. And what else is he gonna do? I mean, he can go here, but I guess we can just take here, and it should be just over. He played queen b6, just protecting the knight, but I just immediately exchanged queens and played bishop to a3, attacking the knight, and if he moves it, attacking the rook. And he can't protect the knight, of course, so he just resigned here. So guys, this is a really instructive example, I think, on how to put pressure on these hanging pawns really early in the game and just win quickly. You know, exchange some pieces, put pressure on these pawns, and you know, eventually maybe some tactical blow will happen, or you will just make this pawn smooth and they will be weak, or the pawns are just going to be too weak for him to defend them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys in the next video.